All right, what is up, guys? So today I'm gonna commentate a little bit over this whole course of the video. My mic wasn't working again. I don't know why, but it's what it is. I started off by doing leg curls. We're gonna do if I'm not wrong, I think I actually started with the warm up. It was with the 70 pounds. I think I did probably 18 reps. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, just nice and slow. I was really taking my time with this leg press. I wasn't going fast. I've noticed that my hamstrings have grown over the course of several weeks by adding in the slow version of a leg curl. Because I used to do these a bit fast, like how I would do them with the leg extensions. But even so, leg extensions, I've been going slower. In general, the machines, I think all the machines that I've been using so far, I've been taking my time more, because with machines, you can't really manipulate, let's say extremely a lot the range of motion as you can with the free weight. So you might as well utilize like a bit more tension, time under tension, which is just going slower on the positive, going slower on the negative. Yeah, so here's the second set. Yeah, or let's call this the first working set. We're starting this off with 85 pounds, and I'm pretty sure I did the same amount of reps because that first one was more of a warm-up. And yeah, I was pretty focused in this workout. I was in my head just concentrating on getting this thing done, squeezing it in. I noticed that when you work out, I don't know about you guys, but I have a better time working out, especially with machines where you're not moving a whole lot, when you're just looking in one specific direction. So if you see, let's say, a dot in front of you or some symbol or anything that you can concentrate on and just focus on that, it's a lot more, you're a bit more in tune with the muscle, I will say. And it allows you to push more to failure. I like it. I like to have that sort of brain thought whenever I'm doing leg curls. Okay, so then here, this is our second working set. I think I moved it to 110 pounds, probably. Yeah, I probably did. And actually thinking about it, because I can't really see since the bench is covering the weight labels, but I think that first working set was actually 95 pounds. Yeah, I'm trying to remember because that machine has that sort of increment. And then the next one was likely 115 pounds. So this set should be 115 pounds that you're seeing. I'm sure in this set, this was 15 reps or 12. Yeah, my memory's a bit vague. I can't exactly remember what was the exact rep count doing this. Oh wait, no, sorry. This was actually not 100 pounds. Yeah, because I can see the 115 out. So it must have been 95 pounds. Yeah, you can see me. Sometimes when I do leg curls, it's a lot harder, especially on those last reps, to bring that bar, let's say, completely 90 degrees. And I'm trying my best to keep it that way. instead of barely getting there. I mean, if I absolutely can't, I like to just do partials to fatigue the hamstring despite not going full range of motion. Okay, or that was a 130. Yeah, I think the variation on this machine was 15 pounds then. Okay, so this is the third working set. It's a bit more challenging, but that's normal. We're progressive overloading this. Over here is all about trying to get that 90 degrees, but it's starting to fall short. So I just was focused on moving the weight down. I thought I was finished here, but I was like, you know what? I could do another. Yeah, so I decided to do another set. This would be the fourth working set. Just because that third one, I felt like I had a bit more in the tank for the hamstring. And when it comes to leg curls are the exercises that I feel the most activation for my hamstrings. And I think that's how it should be. If there's going to be one particular exercise, or hell, if you're lucky, you get two, that just feels so right into that muscle. And that's the case for leg curls for my hamstring. So I figured I still have a bit more in the tank, even though this is the first exercise. We might as well do another. Okay, so we're done with leg curls here. I then moved on to stiff leg deadlifts for this one. All right, so we're gonna start off here with just a single 45 plate on each side. No different from before. And I'm pretty sure my rep goal here was 15 reps for the first exercise. I gotta get better with stiff leg deadlifts because I noticed that if I can get my knees to be a bit more straighter, which means my thigh has to be still. So imagine if my entire body bends like a 90-degree angle. If my body can bend in a completely 90-degree angle, I think that should put more activation on the hamstrings. Yeah, because I sometimes forget that when I do stiff leg deadlifts, I'm focused about activating the hamstring, but I'm also looking to increase the weight on each set. And I think I am going to be honest, I'm probably doing that a bit too much. I don't have to increase it by 25 on each side just because that's what I've been doing for a while. I think if we're going to get a better quality activation for our hamstrings, I should focus on just bending my body more 90 degrees for the form and not really being so hell-bent on the weight. You know, if I can't get past, let's say, more than single 45s, but I can feel my hamstrings burning, well, you know what I'm going to take. You know, I'd rather stick with that weight and just burn out the hell out of my hamstrings. I mean, that's a lot more better. Yeah, and so this will be the second working set. That wasn't a warm-up. That's already the working set. And here I put 25-pound plates on each side to make it a bit more generally harder. Although what was strange is that when I was lifting this, it actually felt a bit more heavier than usual. And I found that a little odd. Because usually when I lift this weight, it's not like it's completely easy, but it's, you know, it's doable. It's not that hard. But in lifting this thing, I mean, you can see me checking right there on the left. I'm like, damn, why does the left feel heavier? But either way, the weight felt generally heavier overall, which, I mean, that was kind of strange. Maybe I pre-fatigued it a little bit too much on the leg curls, but I don't think that's the case because I sometimes do that for exercises. I think it was just my general energy level for that day. Yeah, this was a bit of a struggle to do just on that second working set. And I've said this before too, like on the stiff legs, I really don't like when it starts to morph into a deadlift because I don't like to have my back being involved too much. We're not doing a back day here, we're doing a leg day. And so if you're grabbing an exercise that can use a different muscle, you need to be sure to really isolated, especially when it comes to stiff legs, where they're more tailored towards the hamstrings. Now, it doesn't mean that you're never going to feel the lower back or the glutes, but I would say 80% of what's lifting that weight should be the hamstrings. If you feel like there's a half and half, which I felt frequently, then you're not doing it right. It's I'm critiquing myself right now, but I think that's important. Yep, there you go. I was like, no, that shit's too heavy. That's too heavy. That's moving into a bit of a deadlift. And realistically speaking, if we're talking about doing a properly formed stiff leg deadlift, you should be in a completely 90 degree angle. I'm somewhat in it, but I'm not completely in a 90 degree angle. I haven't actually seen much bodybuilders stack on this amount of weight, even for, let's say, their muscle mass and stuff. There may be a few, but that's because they have a lot more muscle mass. If I added a lot more muscle mass, this would be, let's say, I would say correct for activating the hamstrings. But I think I've been putting too much weight for hamstrings activation, because each time I do this stiff leg deadlifts with 2 plates, it's not like I don't feel at all the hamstrings. But as I move on from the second set to the third set, it felt like the activation usage of the second set was way more than the third set, and obviously that's a red flag. And I'm not sure, did I do another set here? I was aiming for 10 reps here. For here, I just went on to quads immediately. So I moved on to the leg press after this one. So this was my first working set. I decided to split in half the max weight that I would do. So there's about a 45 plate, a 25, and a 10. See if I can do the math. 80 pounds on each side, 160 pounds in total, about the basic weight of the machine. Usually my first sets are about 20 reps max. Sometimes I go out and feel, but it's usually 20 reps for the first set. I tend to like to go to more reps for leg press for the work set. I find that it's able to wake up the quads a lot more for me once I move on the set. Because that's the thing. I realized that for leg press, I could lift better with, let's say, more activation when I have it more under my control. Like, meaning like there's the control over the movement when it's coming down and up is a lot more in my hands. I'm not shaking so much. I'm not, let's say, overly pushing on one side and the other. It's just it's like kind of balanced in a way. My first sets are always meant to just get blood and slap around the muscles I want to hit. So for quads, I'm just slapping around the quads so that we get to move on to the harder ones for the second set and third set. We'll get on to the second set. In this one, I placed 245 plates with a 25, and hopefully I'm not talking too much. Sometimes I like to really explain what's going on. I hope I'm not boring you with too much info, but I'm just figuring out what was going on back in my head when I was doing this. For this one, my goal was to get to 15 reps. Very easy. I did more than 15 reps there. Very easy. Because the thing is, for leg press for me, it is funny. It takes like it takes a time for my legs to wake up, and then once they're waking up and ready to go, that's when I can just stammer on the reps and wait. As you see here, I'm placing 345 plates with a 25. So right now we're doing the max. I'm not going over the max. This is the third set. And actually, my bad, I did not do 10 over this right away. Because in my head, I was aiming, you know what, let's try to do the max. Because I did these with my sister, but I struggled to do 4. But right now with that second set, I was pretty confident. Yeah, I'm like explaining that. Let me just take a sip of my sparkling water. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It tastes pretty good. Anyways, yeah, there we go. I was like, fuck it. Let's just put 10 more pounds. So this is actually the highest weight I've lifted. About 345s with 25. I hope I'm right. I actually don't think this is breaking. I might have actually lifted this weight with my sister, but I couldn't do more than 4 reps. Well, we're about to see how many I did here. But with that, I was like, okay, this is that max. I'm gonna try to get to 10 reps. And if I can do more, I'll do more. Yeah, here we go. Just getting in the mood. Gotta get your mind right before you lift this weight. Making sure you get the right activation. Put yourself in that deep world. Whatever you gotta do to get your mind right. Yeah, pretty easy. You see me trying like a lot, but this was like, I know I've tried a lot with the leg press. I'm doing way more than 10 here. I felt like I could have. Yeah, no, and despite that, I could have done way more. I could have done like 4 more reps there if I really wanted to. And that's what kind of bothered me. Like in a minute later, I was like, damn, that was kind of easy, like in a way. So I'm like, you know what? Let's add a 45. So I did here 4 45 plates on each side.
Put some more weight on there. Yes, sir. That's how you show them how it's supposed to be done, buddy.
I've never done that before. This is my first time. But I felt like I did about 14 reps on that last one. I was aiming for 10. And that last time I did that weight, I couldn't do past 4 reps. So yeah, I was pretty confident. And my goal here was to get to 10 reps, or if I'm not wrong, I think it was 12 reps. Yeah, I think it was 12 reps. Just based on that last set. We're really lifting 20 pounds extra than before. All right, here we go. Getting that mind in. Easy. 11. I could have done one more. I could have done 12 easy there. Not even that. I could have done like 2 more reps. And yeah, I'm doing the hack squats like last time. I'm doing a Tom Platz variation right here, just with a lot less weight, with like 10 pounds. But I felt like that weight was fine to start off, because this workout is really based on the stretch more than rather the force. When you do a Hackenschmidt variation, or really it's like a sissy squat on the hack squat, you're applying more range of motion to the quad, and so you're activating more of the I would say the inner quad, like those muscles right at the edge of your knee. You're hitting that a lot. And actually, not even that, I actually felt it more now that I remember doing this, because of that stretch. It stretches all the way up to basically your hip. Like it stretches that entire calf of the thigh. And so yeah, I love doing these half squats, because when I do leg days, I rarely hit those muscles like that high up. And I feel like hack squats has been something especially the hack squats of Hackenschmidt, that variation has hit that area of the quads a lot more better than a normal hack squat. Yeah, that was the first set. For the second set, I wasn't so bold with the weight because, again, it's what I'm saying. It's about the stretch and also the knees and what I did with the leg press. I felt that hack squat, just putting an extra 5 was good enough at that moment. But looking at it back, I could have added just a bit more weight to apply pressure. Because when you do a squat like that, even without weights, if you do past 20 reps, it starts to burn with no weights. When you put on weight, you start to feel the burn past 15. And so in my mind, because I'm always thinking, I'm going to just do 30 reps, I didn't really care about adding way more weight. I was ignoring the weight increment than I should have. But nonetheless, I am feeling it. The funny thing too is as I'm drinking the sparkling water is whenever I think of doing 30 reps on a hack squat, in reality, I do about maybe less or more. Because as I said, each time I have a rep count, I'm always doing the area of that rep. So I would do either 27 or I would do 32. I wouldn't do exactly 30, but it would just be based on feeling. If I can't get to 30, I'll get to 27. And either way, because I say if I can't get to 30, either way, I'm not even counting when I do this. Yeah, it's because I have I don't know about you guys, but I'm very instinctive. I really train based on I kind of have that concept of I really start to count, quote unquote count, once I feel pain, pretty much. And I just apply that principle with the hack squats here. I think I should count because maybe I can accidentally be doing a bit less than I should, even though the feeling of the burn is there. But sometimes the feeling of the burn can come less, which means I could probably be doing 20 when I'm trying to do 30. And so that's the dilemma. Okay, so here's for the next set. We're doing a single 25-pound plate on each side.
Oh, hell no! Oh, no!
I was thinking of, I could try to go slower. But the issue is that if you try to go slower, I think there's going to be too much tension on the knees because you're holding that weight on that still position. That even holding down for 2 seconds, I think that's going to put too much stress on the knees. So no, I'm not going to do that. I think this is fine. This has been more of a stressor for the reps than rather the weight. I wouldn't be doing 12 reps with hack squats. I'd be doing 25 if I'm doing it this way. Yeah, I did a lot less there, but I felt it on my quads. All right, so we'll move on to pendulum squats. In the pendulum squats, I wanted to start off with just a warm-up to get the legs ready after doing all that for the pendulums. So with no weights, just simply range of motion. That felt very nice, feeling that slow, deep in, squeezing, coming out, contracting. And I noticed that when you do pendulum squats, I actually feel it on my glutes too, to be fair. Yeah, I do feel it on my glutes as well. But the main mover has been the quads, which is the focus. But yeah, pendulum squats works, I would say, your quads, your glutes, and even just a little bit, the hamstrings. So it's a pretty good overall compound-ish leg exercise if you ever want to try. I've been just treating it as a substitution for squats in the meantime until we get knee straps, because in pendulum squats I don't feel so much stress on my knees, and I think that has to do with the movement. When you're coming down and up, it's not like the weight is straight up and down. I mean, as you see in the pendulum, it's a curved motion. So that's why I think the glutes are playing more into this because when I do squats, my glutes don't really play. That's why I kind of scratch my head that many bodybuilders nowadays, they don't do squats, especially free weight squats, and I don't get why. Now, I could understand why looking at it right now, because if you're serious about bodybuilding, you're going to train intensely all the time. And if you're training intensely with squats and you're doing many reps or you're doing a high amount of weight, there's more risk, right? You fall down or you shake a bit, you move a leg and you fuck up something, right? That's like the common argument. But there is no single workout that gives you the best quads than that. So I would say, if I was in other people's position when it has to do with risks, just get a spotter, right? Even up to that point, I'd really just get someone to spot me. Look, you're gonna have better legs. You just are. You're gonna have way better legs than any other person if you're intense about squats. But whatever. Let's go back to this. This is the last set, the last working set. There's about a single 45 plate and then another 10-pound plate on it, so it's about 55 pounds. And I think my goal here was 12 reps. We'll see. That was kind of funny. There was a guy like on the machine right next to me, but I asked him if there was a problem, and he was like, "Nah, it's fine." He didn't really care about the camera, but it's just funny because it's like this pillar sticking up and down right in front of it. God, I love squatting motions. They're so good for the quads. Yeah, there we go. That wraps up for pendulum squats. We'll be moving on to leg extensions. All right, here we go. So I did these without weight because I just wanted to see how my quads are feeling after doing all of that. Yeah, I was feeling pretty good. I've always seen leg extensions, not always, but I notice how much my quads can flex whenever I stick them out and flex them. But I treat it the same way when I do leg extensions. I try to go fully up like 90 degrees, coming down slow, and then coming up and just squeezing it in, because that quad part on the knee, especially on the knees, right next to the knees, stick out. Yeah, they completely stick out. They stick out more whenever I stretch them out. So it's a hard thing to explain. I even had this conversation with my sister because we've worked out a lot of times doing legs. And I've said this many times that like when I do leg extensions and I curve my feet in a way where when it comes up to my thighs, exactly on the level to my thighs, I like to flex it out in a way that the quad just sticks out. And so whenever I do that, I feel a lot of activation. I can't do that a whole lot when I stack so much weight. However, when I put more weight on the leg extensions, I do get a good pump and hypertrophy. So each side is good. There's no superior side for me. This is now the next working set. There's about a 25-pound plate that I decided to pull. Not pull, decided to put in. Yeah, there we go. I'm doing that, just holding it in, because I think if you're doing a lot of weight with leg extensions, I don't think those pauses are so primarily the hugest concern. I think if I'm doing a lot more weight, I would be more focused on trying to bring my feet up to my thighs. Because if you bring your feet up to your thighs, you're flexing, so you're activating, you're putting more tension. If it comes down and up, and if you keep that on going, which is the point of reps, for 6 to 8 reps, it gets way harder and you feel that burn on your quads. And so I think the pauses is just something of an overkill where you're probably not going to do it without assistance. At least if you're in an amateur level like me. Yeah, but it depends on what you want to do, because I do both. Both of them are good at times. Yeah, and then here I just moved on to a single 45 plate. My goal here was to get to, I think, 15 reps. Yeah, probably 15. This is the leg extension machine that I'd love to go to, because it just feels right. There's about 3 different ones in that gym, but they just don't, I don't know, they don't play so great with me. I like this one. It always feels nice on my quads when I do it. Feels like I'm at home, just snuggled in, but my quads are being stabbed. You just see me struggling. I was just focused on pushing the damn weight. Yeah, and I decided to drop it here. I think I did it without weight. I just treated it as a drop set. Did I? Yeah, I did. So I figured, okay, let's see how fried my legs are without weight. That's really an indicator, a signal. When I think I've obliterated my legs and I have to do leg extensions, I just do no weight, see how that feels. If it's hard to do no weight on the 3rd set, it's like, okay, my legs have been nearly obliterated, but not entirely. But if I'm not feeling it, then I'm like, okay, my legs are not obliterated. And yeah, that's what was going on. My legs were not obliterated. So yeah, I was being a bit of a bitch. I could have done a bit more weight, because that wasn't as stressful or tense as I would usually have it to be. But I don't really think of that in the moment. The next time I do this, I'll be a lot more harder on myself, because I feel like I've been lenient on leg extensions since the last leg day too. So no, leg extensions are great for my quads. I get such a huge pump when I do leg extensions in the right way. All right, so we'll move on to posing. That wraps up for the exercises. I never really pose down in this room anymore, but I figured to, because there's good lighting specifically for legs. Pretty good. But for the past 3 weeks, because with Dorian, I felt my quads have shrinked doing those workouts, but I feel like my legs have come back to normal. In fact, I think they might be just a bit more thicker, especially on the upper side of the quad, probably because of the hack squats that we've been doing, but they're looking pretty thick, you know? Yeah, that's great. You can see that my hamstring is now popping a little bit. It's not that my hamstring hasn't, but it feels like there's just a little bit of a bump now, which is what we want, because that's how I know I'm growing. Once we keep this going with more intensity as time goes on, in 4 months now, because that's what I did before, how I grew my arms and everything, in 4 arms doing that consistently, they're gonna get way bigger. It's just trying to challenge your body each time, whether that's sticking or whether that's doing something different. It's all about changing. It's all about challenging what your body can't do. Yeah, and I actually noticed here that my quad My quads are, and that's based on genetics, not some people don't have this. My quad actually extends all the way to my hips. Yeah, you can see that. Like it extends all the way to my hips. Some people have that, and luckily I have that. Yeah, which I love. I like, because it makes it look like my entire legs are bigger. They're thicker. Some people don't have their quads all the way to their hips. Maybe they do, but it's like the illusion that they look differently. But mine are not like that. And that's great because I know that in the next 2 years, once they're giants, like they're big, in 2 years, those guys, those suckers, they're gonna be big. All right, so that wraps up for today. That was a good leg day, I will say. I was a lot more stronger than before looking at that leg press, and it kind of just really reinforces about how important it is to rest. The legs are the biggest muscle in your body, so it's natural that they require more of a rest in order to recover that big muscle. Since if you're serious on your training, you and I both know that when it comes to legs, you have to be way hard on yourself. You have to lift more, and you have to apply more time under tension. You just have to really fatigue those motherfuckers than any other muscle. Yeah, than any other. So it requires more recovery because we walk every single day. We use them. And so while it's recovering, you're walking, you're running, you're moving around. At least for the case for me, I noticed that in a week time span, that's a pretty good general rule to have, to know that they've fully recovered, to hit them even harder than before. And the hamstrings, that could be more improved for the exercises. Leg curls are being better, but I would say the main component of my hamstrings weaknesses have been that it's been primarily growing more from those curls than the stiff leg deadlifts. I think the stiff leg deadlifts have been spreading the strength to other areas than just primarily the hamstring. So I'm gonna try the next day we do leg days to do maybe a little bit less weight and focus way more on that 90-degree angle that I was explaining earlier. I hope I wasn't annoying in this video. I don't know if I talked too much, but my fucking mic wasn't working. Anyways, take care, train hard, stay hard, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.